in Burgenland with Pitti from Pittnauer, which is a Blaufränkisch and Zweigelt, fairly light-ish red wine. It's not that light actually, but I would definitely chill it just a little, probably like 20 minutes, maybe 15. No, probably 20. So the producer is out of Burgenland, and it's Gerard, who took over his family's vineyard at 18, and his wife Brigitte, who makes the wines with him. So this is a really fun take on some, very traditional grapes there. So with that, let's just jump into it. It's very dark, which makes sense based on the grapes that it is, but that does not always reflect what the flavor profile will be. So on the note, or on the nose, the notes are. So initially I'm getting like floral notes. I think it's violets, but normally when I say violets, I'm like, it's a broody wine, and it's kind of broody, but it's not that broody. It's more like, it's almost like kind of meaty. It's like peppery meat, but like in a good way, if that makes sense, which is nice. And it's actually, I feel like we don't get those types of flavor profiles enough in natural wines, so I'm happy to see it here. But then like moving away from those, there are fruits here too. It's like, dark cherries like you would expect and think of when you're putting those others together, but it's more like also like, I have to say, it's black currants. That's like what I know this to smell like, but I also have to be honest and say that I don't know that I've ever actually smelled black currants in my life. So is that true? I don't know. I literally just figured out what rhubarb was like a few months ago. But just from like, wine training, when someone tells you, oh, that's black currant, and then you smell it again, you're like, oh, that's black currant. So that's the way that we learn. I'm sure there's something way more interesting in it. That's why like I always like to compare some of my notes to like fruit roll-ups and things that I have a lot more experience with. But I would say that that's not where this wine is here. Honestly, the nose is like a lot more serious and austere than I would have expected, knowing the producer and knowing the way that it's made. So on the palate, oh, that is lovely. It's like most of the stuff I just said, but then also add in like a little bit of like dark chocolate to it, and it's just nice. The tannin is not as heavy as I thought it would be. It's really just kind of medium across the board. If I was to like compare it to something, I would say it's got a lot of like Merlot vibes going on like the medium everywhere, which is interesting and exciting because that means that it could go with a lot of stuff. But before we get there, let me just revisit this part. Yeah, literally everything I just said is still there. Currants are there. The like spiciness is there. The meatiness is there. But again, it's not like super hefty in any of those areas. So when I'm thinking about pairing, like, I don't want to go, I think I want to put it with meats, but not tomatoes, if that makes sense. And I don't know exactly why, but I'm going to guess that my brain's leading me there just because I don't think the acidity is high enough to be as great with tomatoes as another wine might be. So with that in mind, I'm thinking like, like the basic plates where it's like you have your meat, your potato, or whatever. You have your meat, your carb, and your vegetable. I think it would do really well with a lot of versions of that. I think it could go with like pork tenderloin, pork chop. I wouldn't go into like heavier red meats. Veal, though I hate veal. I don't think people should eat veal, but if you eat veal, I guess this probably would go with it. I don't really know. I don't even know if I've ever actually eaten veal before. Probably not duck. Chicken, I don't know. It's really saying pork to me. It's saying like pork tenderloin or pork chop, or like pork belly. I don't know what we could do with that, but that could be really good here. So that plus, mushrooms would be nice. Oh, mushrooms would be really nice with this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And just like, whatever veggies you have going on, green beans or squash or all that would be great. But for some reason, like the section plate is where I really feel like this one is going. And I think it might just be because it's very medium across the board. So good food wine, good, like I would say it's a little bit of like a stealth natural wine, another one where it's like it's not funky at all, though it does have the cutie little label, but nothing crazy. So this is one that you could get away with sneaking into your friends that are skeptical about natural wine. So I hope you enjoy.